Let's see. Hi, Mauricio. Hi, David.
Hello.
Hi, Danny. Hi, Heather. Is it Caddy or Katie?
Katie,
Katie. Hi.
hi.
Carrie. Hi, Carrie. Wait a minute.
It's
No.
Bex.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was like, wait a minute. I thought it was Bex.
Yes, Bex. I just can't. I got to change the name. Sorry.
Yeah. If you just, I think you can,
Chat.
what? Yeah, I
Um,
think you can click on your name and change it
okay.
there.
Okay. I'm going to do that.
Let's see, Elaine. Hi. Holly's there. I see Hannah over there somewhere. Yeah, Chi. Hi, Chi.
Hello, everybody.
Well, welcome, and welcome back. All right. So, raise your hand if this is your first time. One person? All right, Katie. If you'd like to introduce yourself, um, and I know you've started the book, and just share a little bit about how the book's going for you.
Um, Hi, my name is Katie from Australia, Brisbane. I introduced myself briefly on the chat. Um, the book, I forgot. I should write this down, what I've got so far. Um, the first thing that comes up to my mind was about identity. I'm still at
Okay.
the beginning of the book where you mention identity, feelings, and then whatever the next steps
Mm.
are, behavior, we change our behavior. So when we change our behavior and all these at the bottom level, you can't change, the core identity is still the same. So I have been working for the last 7 years with a mentor, with a spiritual mentor, and he's really amazing. But he always asks me this question: what do you want? Who do you want to be? Right? And I've really struggled with that, really struggling. But what you have broken down in your book, like breaking it down in parts, I'm like, I just got it at a different level, right? I've always done the personal development, the changes at the feelings level, not at the identity level. Well, I have been, right? But I just got it at a different level. So it's really great.
Great. Yeah, just wait till you get to the end of that chapter. We'll be having a different conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Well, welcome. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Anybody have anything they'd like to share? Or any questions about the book? Or any concepts you've been working on from the book that you'd like some insights on? Any
I
success stories? I'm sure Danielle, Elaine, Hannah, Bex, I know you guys got lots to talk about. Just go for it. Unmute yourself and ask or share.
I just to mention about the last part of the book, the five tenets, the choosing part. It's blowing my mind.
Great.
So the I'm very surprised by the power of the words, meaning the weak words create a weak world.
Mhm.
So I didn't understand the power of the words and that the words have creative power. Uh, so that was amazing to me to discover that.
What'd
But
you
if you
discover about yourself?
uh, Well, probably before reviewing your work, I was using with words complaining or saying, I cannot do this, I cannot do that. And therefore, I was creating that. So now I'm aware that I can use stronger words to actually create what I want. And how I was doing this exercise of how you feel the words that you speak, like, I cannot do it. How does it feel? And I can do it. How does it feel? And the energy that I feel in my body is very, very different by using different words. So every word has a different frequency
Yes.
or resonance or anything like that. So that's my observation so far.
One of the neat things about that is that you'll have, I guess you could call it, how would you call it? You'll have your pure, your your true essence resonance to things, and then you're going to have maybe the distortions and filters and traumas and all of this stuff resonate because it's kind of like muddied. You know, if you have a bunch of mud caked on and all this gunk on top, that's what's going to be resonating. It's going to change your resonance. If you have a tuning fork and you put a piece of tape on it, it's going to change its resonance. You put it in a vat of wax, right? It's going to completely change its resonance. And so why I'm saying this is because when you're going inside and feeling your resonance to these statements, what you want to be um, aware of is not simply, oh, when I say this, I feel bad, and so it's not for me. Because that's a mistake, right? Because let's say you're really poor and you say, I am wealthy, and you're like, that feels awful. Well, is it because your true essence doesn't want to be wealthy? And it's just validating that? Or is it because it's revealing the dissonance, the discord within you that needs healing? And so you'll have sort of people in the normal world, um, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm triggered. That's not good for me. Oh, I'm uncomfortable with this. This is bad." Well, the same people go around and say everything's uncomfortable, right? Is it everything that's really uncomfortable and not good for them, or is there something else going inside of them that's illuminating, needing to be healed? So this goes into the ideas of likes and dislikes, and it's really easy for people that pick up on some of these pop psychology terms and then start using it to justify and validate their suffering and their stories where they're at because they'll feel inside, oh, that guy gives me the creeps. Oh, well, is it because he's really a bad person? Then that's great. Wonderful, right? You should have that radar if that person's creepy or dangerous or that she's, manipulative or whatever it is. Or is it something inside of you, trauma, right? If every person in your family that looked like that all cheated you, right? Is it a projection, a defense mechanism based on that? Random example, you could apply any sort of example, but it's important that as you're feeling these things, you're looking for healing rather than proof that like that's not meant for you or something, right? So if someone's doing, let's say, a synosomatic archetype, and we're doing something like boundaries, and I say, all right, set a boundary, right? And they go like this, and they say no, and then they feel so bad about it because they're pushing somebody away, right? That's what it feels like to them, how they're seeing it. And so guess what in their life? They don't set boundaries because to them, boundaries feel like pushing somebody away, hurting somebody, upsetting somebody. And if they don't want to do that, if that's more important to them than their own safety, then they're going to feel that setting a boundary isn't good. And so when they say it, I can set boundaries, right? It's not going to resonate. And so they may be tempted, as they probably have in their life, to not go there because it doesn't feel good. Well, it's not that the boundaries itself, it's the distortions and the stuff on top of it. Because it is absolutely, yeah, I mean, it is truth that proper boundaries are healthy. I mean, you just look at everything in nature. You don't need a psychology journal to know that. However, if you get raised in a way where if you set boundaries, you get in more trouble or whatever it is, then it doesn't. So this is a very, very important thing as you start doing this work and doing the embodiment pieces, because, and maybe Hannah, you could speak to this about having this sense of this inner knowing that is right and kind of confusing that with a distorted guidance system based off of how you were conditioned and raised, and then getting the truth and being like, wait a minute. Yeah, I know that looks like boundaries and I know boundaries are good, but when I do that and say it, it feels awful. What am I trusting? What do I trust? And so part of this work and part of what you're doing in that chapter is as you go through that list, you're feeling the different bits of power. Now, if you're somebody who is given their power away, then maybe owning power is going to feel amazing. But then you'll say, I don't deserve that. I'm not enough. Or maybe if you've had power before and say, I am powerful, you're going to be terrified of it because maybe one time you had power and you hurt somebody. So it's not as black and white as it may seem in the exercise. It requires a certain sensitivity and awareness that as you go through that, you can discern between which are more powerful and which are weaker. You can accurately discern that. I believe I wrote them in order, right? I believe I wrote them in an order that kind of went from the weakest to the
Yes.
the strongest. That was based on my own feeling. It could be off. I don't think so because that's what it feels like to me. But maybe at the tops, you might find that maybe different people kind of maybe flip flop kind of the things at the extreme versus I am and I have. Maybe for some people, the I am versus the I have, right? It might change there. But overall, you get the idea, the point that there's weak statements, disempowered statements, and then there's strong ownership, powerful statements. And if you can go through that list, and if you can kind of test those, and you find that it matches, right? What you feel sort of matches that list, that's a great sign. And then B, you go through that, and then you start kind of checking, right? Like I just talked about, okay, when I make that statement, do I get stronger or do I get weaker? Even though I know I should feel stronger, okay, well then that's going to reveal a dissonance that you have. And so that's a sort of an advanced way you can start working with that and discovering the things in yourself. And so we do this as well with the archetypes. We do it with the tarot and the symbolism work. You look at these symbols, and you presuppose they are loving. So I'm going to share a little bit of advanced stuff here. So if you don't get it or it weirds you out, that's okay. But these symbols, if you assume that they are here to love you and to help you, when you see things that freak you out or turn you off and say, oh, the hanged man or the devil or the fool or the wheel of fortune, if you look at these things and you get a dissonance, right? It feels off to you. Without presupposing that these symbols are here to love you and to teach you and to help you, you may say, ugh, bad vibes, push it away. That's why, again, you have to know what to trust, right? You have to get feedback from the right place. You have to work with tools and symbols and teachings that have been vetted over thousands of years, that are trusted, that you see the results, that you see an environment around it that is being healed and transformed. And then when you can trust that, you then have an accurate reference point. You have an accurate anchor that you can start aligning your internal system to. And then these are ways where you start rebuilding. I think I shared a video. It might be on my YouTube, of how you start developing this internal guidance system. I think I shared it maybe in the group a few months ago. I get some head nods. Yeah. So, but that will sort of teach you in another way how to start rebuilding this guidance system very functionally, using both intellect and intelligence, both internal intuition and external feedback, and how all of those can align in order for you to have an accurate GPS to life, where you don't give your power away to an authority, but you also listen to authorities that should be listened to. You know how to follow your own path, but also learn from paths laid out, and wisdom set by others and instructions left by others. And there's no rejection of either, and there's no self-abandonment and codependence with any of them. And you become your attunement isn't to the acceptance and validation of others. It isn't to your material goods. It isn't to your priests, to the social classes. It's to something far deeper than the ego or other people's egos. So that's my very, very long answer to your question.
Thank you very much. It's a
That's,
good opportunity to rerun the exercise with all these instructions that you provided, but makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
you're welcome. I like to give some of the I like to fill it out, because in the book there's only so much I can write and share and explain. And I have a lot to get through in that book. So this is a fun opportunity to fill it out, to thicken it out. So something that could be as simple as 2 pages gets expanded, right? It's like, I think I give that metaphor last time, where you double click a link, right? You're on Wikipedia, and then you got this whole page, and then there's a hyperlink there, and you click it, and it goes, boop, and then it brings you to the whole page. And so that's a bit of what we're doing here on these calls, is that we can talk about some of these concepts, and then we can expand upon them in ways that I couldn't in the book.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Go
I'd
for
like
it.
to
Yep.
share a little bit as you were talking about that. The idea of everything being here to love you, kind of like, what's that Albert Einstein quote of, do you believe in a loving universe, or something like this? I forget exactly what it is. But I've struggled a lot with this idea of discerning between what is my inner guidance, that's rejecting the feedback, versus my ego, and coming into this work feeling like I had a pretty strong intuition, but not realizing how many filters I had running over the top of it. And like with my mother, there was a lot of paranoia growing up. Everything was a potential threat and should be viewed through the lens of like, be careful. It could, I don't know, who's that guy? Why'd you, just a lot of paranoia. Like one of the running jokes with my sisters and I is, when we were little, if we'd want to pick something up, our mom would be like, don't touch it. Somebody might have peed on it. And
Wow.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's like one of our running jokes now about our mom. Like somebody might have peed on it. But so like just that I didn't have that energy of everything is here to love you. It's like everything might be here to get you.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of my intuition had that lens over it of like being literally on the defense.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow. Yeah, and you know how your mom is now.
yeah, she's very afraid. Yeah.
Very
And a lot
paranoid.
Yeah, and a lot of my defensiveness that comes up in this work is all fear. Just a lot of fear and terror. And then the times that I can let it in and have the breakthroughs, there's like such peace around it. The few times that I've let it be easy. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. When I take off that veil of fear of like something might be about to get me, all of a sudden I can move through it easier.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Um, can I ask about following what Hannah said, Andrew? So I can relate to what Hannah just shared, where I've noticed doubt. We doubt ourselves. We question our intuition, whether that's the truth or that's a filter that we just um, that being perceived. I'm not sure if it's appropriate to ask in this group session. I know I worked with Dr. Carl Wolf a long time ago. Is there a certain movement that would just say fear, like that's fear? One of the movement that I did before was this, right? Like taking it in. And when I do this movement, I can't do that now, like the movement 13 years ago. The way I did it was the feedback was I was acting like a princess, right? There's no feeling. There's no feeling. I was acting like a princess. It's just looking good. And Dr. Carl shared with me, just be dirty, do the opposite, be dirty, be wild. And I'm like, okay. And I'll just be wild, right? And I transformed that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now I know this movement is that. Okay, I got it. And I love doing this. Sometimes just like, what, be dirty. Just imagine you're naked, you're in the mud, and you're just like be a lioness, be ugly, be like ferocious, who give a shit what anybody thinks of you. I've been doing that ever since grade. I just feeling good even just doing that right now,
Well, I know.
we're so we're so stiff.
Yeah.
We're walking around trying to look good. I should be this way because I want people to think well of me. Right? And I completely broke through that, right? But going back to my original question, right? Is there a movement for doubt? I was I'm not getting better, right? I have shifted many different layers of my own self-doubt already, but because I left and then Dr. Carl Wolf passed away and I didn't get to continue, so I don't really get a lot of movements. I just remember this one because I love
Mhm.
this one so much. um, so is there a movement for doubt? Back to my original question. Yeah.
Movement for doubt. Um, let's see. Well, on these particular calls, we
Yeah.
aren't doing movement
Yeah.
necessarily on the calls, um, but I do. Um,
Okay.
so one of the things that I've sort of pioneered after Carl passed has been somatic archetypes. So we are able to actually work with specific emotions and concepts and ideas through these somatic archetypes. Um, so we can talk later if you would like, and slash or on your own, what you can do is just go into the feeling of doubt and express that through your body. And then from there, you can start doing things like, we'll do the opposite or do it backward. And
Mm,
so that's a way how I start working with clients in what's something specific, right?
mm,
So when we do the the handshaking, it's a general thing. It's like, how are you moving the energy? This
mm,
too, right? How are you bringing the energy in? Um, they can represent things, but general movements are very challenging if we want to say, um, how can you help me with making money? How can you help me with intimacy? How do we work on concepts of fear and doubt specifically? So yeah, that would be something that we would be very easy to look at with the somatic archetype work. Um, there's and what we would see in other movements and exercises, we would probably see the doubt come up. So let's say you were showing something around, what do you have doubt on?
um,
Like
so
a context. Just give me one context.
could be anything. Let's say divorcing my husband, right? I'll be like,
All right,
and then
we just went to the big fucking one. All right, great, cool. Let's do it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like just the wishy-washy, the back and forth. And I'm like, stop it. I've been on this road in the last 10 years and going through all of that. So stop doubting and just go for it. I'm going forward anyway, but I just don't like not don't like. I've noticed the energy, the doubt creeping in and out. And I not want to, more prefer to have peace around that and not be wishy-washy within myself.
Okay. So what I would do tonight after the call, or whenever you want, just go into those feelings, go into like wishy-washy, doubt, meditate on, what you're afraid of, right? Because doubt, there's a certain fear in there, a lack of trust, a fear of whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then express those through the body. Then just find movements and feelings that represent that for you. And so you just start exploring these things through your body.
Yeah. I've got it. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Great. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Don't forget to record yourself so you can watch the feedback. Yes.
Yeah, you can
Sorry, say that again.
record yourself.
Record yourself. Watch.
But how do you? Oh, yeah, I gotta get all the technical aspect about that recording. Yeah, will do. Thank you.
Who's next?
I'd like to share
All right.
some things that are
Yeah,
transpiring.
bring us some news.
Yes. Um, so I've been doing calisthenics. I think I'm saying that right. It's kicking my butt. It's I just didn't realize how out of shape I was.
Yeah, I
And
did.
so getting down into the deep levels of, my body, I've noticed the past 2 nights actually dreaming more, which is so fun for me. I am sleeping outside in a tent, but I correlate my deeper, getting deeper into my body opens me up to dreams.
It does,
So
yeah.
I'm really, really happy about that. Another thing that I didn't really put a lot of attention on, but that it happened today was I've always 10 years ago I wanted to make lip balms and I did for a while, several years, then I stopped. I always wanted to do creosote salve, and there was a lady that did it all through the area. She made this salve. She passed away 4 or 5 years ago, and nobody's really picked that up. And I've done salve making here and there, and I always thought, how did she do it? Make it so green? And I finally just looked at the ingredients in her. Oh, like, okay. And I saw grain alcohol on there, and I was like, what is she using? What is grain alcohol for salve making? Because I've never used that. And then I found this whole new process of doing it, and I made this really green oil. And here it, I'm just, and so tomorrow I'm going to make a salve out of it, but I'm just like,
It's
there's been
always
years of me
it's
thinking,
always been there.
yes. And
Just like just like the gun in your pantry.
I was so happy to find that. And I need
Hope it
to,
wasn't loaded.
yeah, it is loaded, but
Yeah,
I need to
yeah,
practice.
she's in Texas. We do different things down here than
Peaceful warrior, please put it in a safe.
Yeah, I think that's why I hid it up there because I was like, I wanted to keep it away from the girls, but
Well, she did a great job. She didn't even know where she put it, so it worked. But
yeah,
you see the pattern, right? That what I'm trying to show you is that you have everything you need already.
yes. And how the universe keeps reminding me, because the only reason I actually thought about the creosote salve was a while back, a man came in and he said, "Do you have any of Candace's creosote salve left?" And I said, "I've got some. I'll sell it to you," because I kept all of the rest of her stuff that she had left. And so it reminded me, like, hey, people are wanting creosote salve. Nobody has it. I have so much creosote, and it just, I can't believe how it's all laid out. And I just could never get to doing it. I mean, I would try, but it just, it's like right now my wheels are greased and things are capable of,
They're turning and you're
yeah,
moving forward and completing things. Yeah.
yes. So that was miraculous, really. I mean, for me, because how many years I've been wanting and trying and uh,
It's so fun. It's so funny. Like I work with some clients. Elaine's been a client of mine for about a year, or yeah, less than a year.
7 or 8 months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Jesus. I mean, it's been miraculous. And I tell people, 7 months when she came in, she was at the bottom of the ocean. She had full-blown depression. I mean, she was just, I mean, she didn't smile or cry or have emotions or laugh in months. And now she does all of them in 10 seconds. And I I like tell people, I'm like, you realize it's only been 7 months, like before and after, and people are just like, I can't believe it. It's like, well, she's following the instructions. She's showing up twice a week. She's doing the work, 30 minutes a day. She's doing her movements. She's making the choices. I give her invitations, and encouragement and instructions and homework, and she does it. It and her life's working and it's transforming. So it's really inspiring. And you give a you're giving and will continue to give a lot of people a lot of hope. And you're not trying to do it, right? You're not trying to be an inspiration. You just are because you're showing up and
Thank
doing it
you.
for yourself, and so you do it for all of us.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
You're
I'm
welcome. Thank you.
so so grateful for the opportunity, and then on top of doing the exercises, I'm looking year by year into my life, trying to remember everything in each year. I've had a continual story that I don't have a good memory, and so just really focusing on, okay, 1995, what was going on and all the aspects of my home and what were my parents doing, what was my school doing, and just that focus again for me is very healing. And then I start to remember stuff, and I can tell like this is gonna grow, and I'm just gonna, as Andrew said, it's like a path that is just really weeded over. And as I take a machete and beat through it, it's going to get wider, and then there's going to be little paths off to the side. And
Ooh.
oh,
Yeah, and what else? Keep going with that imagery.
yes,
Do it.
paths off to the
Hold
side.
on, hold on. In your body, from feeling.
Um, Paths off to the side, with treasures awaiting.
Oh, buried treasure, or how? What do the treasures look like?
Um, they're actually spread amongst trees. And
You gotta climb the trees, or are they in the little holes? Are they under the roots?
as I look up, they drop down to me.
Oh, gosh, you're gonna make it that easy. Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
It's vision, right? So why I'm saying this is for you, your vision is starting to open, right? Because I gave you the initial metaphor of that path and whacking it with a machete, and you started saying, "Well, and there's paths going this way, and other things are right." So that's your vision starting to open, right? And that's what my assignment for you was to start down one year, and as it expands, you go down it. It starts your vision starts expanding. So you start with a blank paper, and you're going to have pages and pages of memories, all within you.
I can't believe it.
I know.
I keep looking at the pages. I'm like, I have a memory. I mean, pages of memories.
So, so let me ask you this, if you want to talk about this. If not, we can save it for a session. Um, where does that story come from that you have a bad memory? And why have you held on to that for so long?
I think a part of it was my sister had a photographic memory. So
Oh,
she had
wow.
an amazing memory. I mean, she can memorize books and talk them out verbatim, and she had this incredible memory, and I always felt less than, I
Yeah,
think,
no
like,
shit.
oh, I don't have a memory.
Yeah.
She remembers everything, and so that may be where that comes from.
I would think that's a really good head start.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, at some point, we can do it on our session or yourself. There's some healing around that of comparing yourself to your sister. It's an unrealistic expectation. I can understand, right? If you're a musician and you grow up and everyone in your family has perfect pitch and you don't, that's gotta fucking suck. So it's reasonable. It's just unreasonable, right? It's you can see why you did it, but I mean to compare a mere mortal's memory with someone with a photographic memory, which is very rare. You're just you can't ever live up to that. And so,
She would
so
always say, like, remember this, and like, no, remember this. Like, no, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
Just
well, maybe there was maybe she put pressure on you too. Maybe she had some judgments, or it doesn't have to just be one way. Maybe she had some stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. So good. Play with that. That's some great stuff. You probably are going to find out you have an average memory.
Yeah.
Not average as a detriment. I'm saying because you felt like you've had a very, 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 very below average. So if you find out you are just normal like the rest of us, that's gonna be great.
Right.
Yeah. And then maybe you might find out you actually have above average. Maybe not as good as photographic, but because you've never given yourself that chance, or because you've compared it to her, or because maybe she's shut you down, you just never let yourself develop it. So you might have the best memory of everyone in this group, but you've
Now,
only been comparing it to like the number one Olympic athlete, right?
Mhm.
So great. Thanks for
And I'm
sharing.
so glad you asked me that because I never hadn't thought of that, and it just came to me that that's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The stories we have no idea run us. Yeah. Great. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Who else? Heather, Chi, Danielle, Bex.
I'm really enjoying all the feeling and just healing, like having this time. Like you were saying, Elaine takes half an hour. And then somebody said the other day, there's 24 hours a day in the day, 16 hours of wake time. That's 32 half hours. And say you're at work for 8 hours. So that gives you like 8 hours of your time, 16 half hours of opportunities to feel. So it's just beautiful. You talk about being dirty, Katie. Like I've been getting on the slack line, but just putting my feet in the soil and just being dirty and being okay with that. Like, and then so much opens, like just from getting into my body and giving myself opportunity to feel all the time. It's just opening so much in my life. Like Andrew said, like now it's the most beautiful thing to me that it's only just the beginning, because so much is shifting in my life, and I'm opening to my family and to my sister and my sister-in-law and to my husband. And it's just, I'm so grateful because it's just really changing the very fiber of my being. And at the beginning of the year, at the end of last year, I wrote in my journal, and I was just talking with God. I think I shared this, and he just said, I want you to clean your house. And this is the house that he was talking about. So yeah, if I had to give my child like something, to say, if I'm not there, like how do I give them this key to know? I put it in here, like it's in there. It's so beautiful, and now I'm like opening to it, and not having realized that I had shut so many people out by shutting off parts of myself. And now it's like just opening, and then it opens more, and then I see more, and then I get to feel more, even in the pain. And it's beautiful. I made a decision a few months ago that I wasn't going to do this big event. And it's also given me a lot of time because I'd usually be really occupied with doing that. So it's now given me this time to feel. And the thing that I was waiting for to happen with our government and applying for this status, this PBO status, it's taken 2 years. And when I let go of it, it's now come through, which is like blowing my mind. And then running into people and just God, like the universe, through me opening, I just run into people. And then, like yesterday, I ran into this woman, and I was meaning to see her and contact her about a Christmas thing that I want to do. And then she just ran into me, and then it's like the synchronicity, and we were already on the same page, and I didn't really have to do anything. I didn't have to set a meeting. Here's this woman in the street. And I'm like, just mind blown. Just like, it's
And
just
then
really,
this is on
really.
top of the first miracle, which was your sister or someone else called and being like, "Hey, can we sponsor this?"
Yeah.
It's
So
miracle after miracle.
I know, I'm like, I've made it so hard for so long, and it doesn't have to be hard. Like Andrew wasn't talking shit. I was like, yeah, really? I'm gonna just do nothing, and then it's gonna happen. It's going to be easy. No, you have to sacrifice. Everything comes at a sacrifice. That's what I believed. You have to do this thing if you want to get a result. That was like my reverse wiring. And you still have to show up, but this just the energy is so completely different. It just changes everything. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. You're welcome. 3 calls. And all the work you've been doing behind the scenes. Yeah. It's amazing. And I see you're wearing not black or gray. Yeah. It looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody got some feedback for Danielle? What are you guys seeing? Hannah, Elaine, David?
You're so beautiful, Daniel. I mean, I'm just crying. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's just like, and by the way, you look beautiful as well. I love that color on you. I mean,
Thank
it's
you.
gorgeous. Your whole spirit and your whole essence, it just completely lights me up. I mean, ever since I met you on this call, when I heard the replays, I just love your spirit and your energy and what you exude. And I don't know, it's just, you're beautiful. And I just feel it's just effervescent into the world. And you're such a good, incredible spirit. And I just so love that. So yeah, I'm crying because you're crying. And it's just beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you. And I hid it. Like I hid it for so long. And I didn't realize that I wasn't allowing love in. And now I get to allow love in. And it's so humbling. It's so humbling and it's so beautiful. And I'm just so grateful. Thank you.
I really feel that. I really feel everything you say, I really feel. It's not like it hits me. I mean, it's beautiful. So congratulations. And I love everything what everyone's shared. I mean, Elaine, you are bubbly and vivacious and so alive and so giggly and bubbly and full of life. It's gorgeous. And Katie, when you were doing all your stuff, it's like I love it. I was just like, fuck, this group is fucking amazing. Because I'm doing a course which is very involved at the moment. It's called the Couples Cure with my husband, right? But then, I mean, it's on a totally different topic, talking about, should I divorce my husband? Oh my God. I mean, that was funny, Katie. It was like,
Can I join? Can I join?
oh my God. Well, that's one of the reasons I haven't been so part of this group, because I've been doing that work. But oh my God, I don't know. Just coming on this group tonight, everybody's energy is just so incredibly genuine and I don't know, just like full of heart and just spirit. And I just love it. And I can so see the changes and it's beautiful. And I'm so grateful. I really am. And everything everyone shared from, feeling the words of how you feel words to, the archetype of, how do you express doubt to, Elaine's like everything is in you that you need. It's just like coming to you. You're allowing it, and it's yeah, amazing. Um, well, I don't know if there's time for me to have a little say what's been happening. I've had COVID for the last 3 weeks, so you know, um, it's kind of slowed me down, but I've been doing a lot of processing work, and last night I was on this call and something very interesting happened. It's like I was just relating to what somebody was talking about, this guy on the sense of urgency. And I just was relating to him my experience and how the sense of urgency, when it arises within me, has had quite, you know, it, 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 you know, it's been quite detrimental in some respects. But then after I'd shared, I felt so embarrassed. I felt, oh my God, did I share too much? Was that just, shouldn't I share that? And then and I went bright red in the face and I felt kind of embarrassed and I felt like a bit shamed. And it wasn't anything anybody did, but it was like, did I just overshare? Did I just get like, because what I do, if somebody shares something, I like to relate to it. And I just felt I came in with this energy and I kind of shamed myself. And I sort of was like, well, maybe I did share too much. But anyway, that was my thing after that call last night. I was like, yeah. So I just wanted to say that's what happened.
Thanks for sharing.
It's my pleasure. And I feel like I share it tonight because, maybe it's a better forum to admit to like that complete fucking toxic shame that I was feeling after the call. Like, God, is that how I come out into the world? Is just too much. And then it made me feel really sad because it's like, I feel like, I have to kind of hold so much of myself in because I have to keep it in the format and the amount that other people can accept.
Mm-hmm.
Because just say with my daughter, like I wanted to share something with her, but I have to be very aware because it's like, in order not to lose her, because I love her so much, in order not to lose her, I have to kind of behave myself. So I have to be straight.
Yeah, that sounds more like censoring yourself.
Yeah, I have to. Well, I have to because it's like, it's like, either they think it's what I've got to share is a bit outlandish, or it's not within the confines was with what's okay for them,
I'm gonna
and
back. I'm gonna pause you for a second.
yes, yes.
Hannah's going through something. I'm gonna
Oh
check in with
yes,
her because
absolutely.
you're helping Hannah with something right now.
Oh yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
So Hannah, what were you feeling just now?
I can relate to that feeling of just like coming in with this exuberance and feeling like it's too much. And then realizing also that sometimes when I'm doing that, I sometimes I am inflating things. And then I've had a hard time in the context of this work of feeling like discerning between what is my genuine expression and exuberance and what is inflating, and then not using the inflation feedback to
Negate.
squash
Yeah.
the exuberance, which has been done to me before. And yeah, I know how that feels.
How does it feel?
It's heartbreaking. To feel like you just show up with so much love and it's not wanted or not valued. Or it's not the right way, not the right shape or color.
Or it has warts on it.
Yeah, it's devastating.
Clarification. When you say, because Bex, you used kind of wording around it's not right, and Hannah, those were your words, right? It's not right. My question is, it's not right according to whom? Like when you're in that feeling, is it like when I listened to Bex, it felt like it wasn't right to the other person. And when I listened to Hannah and Andrew, it felt more like it wasn't right according to you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to understand better. Did I
No,
get that?
yeah, this is a great question, great awareness. So let's just kind of go theory a little bit. That we're not initially doing like group therapy on these calls usually, but when people are sharing, stuff comes up, and so this is what I do for a living. So I help if it's coming up, we're not going to shut somebody down. So we're going to help them go through it. And so what happens is that there's threads, right? I'll wait till you get that in. All right, now you can hear the secrets. No one else will know. um, there's resonance, right? So when you play a note, let's say you have it at a different octave, or you have it at an interval, like a third, right? So you're gonna have resonance and things, and they're not exactly the same, but they'll activate something, right? So it wasn't the exact thing Bex and Hannah were both sharing, but it was very, very similar. The response or the stimuli was different. Let me tune in for a second here. Bex, yeah, so more when I felt with Bex, it was almost like like the space, the environment didn't appreciate or value um, or really care about what she wanted to offer. And Hannah's was a little bit different in that it was either inflated and she was super excited and like it was like an over energy and people were like whoa, and that kind of got confused with an actual energy. And so there's a certain we want to be received, and we want to be received fully, and we want to be received kind of in all of it. And that's that's one of the ways that we can heal. And at the same time, you can want to be received while you're stabbing somebody or saying nasty things. And if you have somebody that's amazing or without boundaries, right, that might happen. But if you want to be received, you probably don't want to be poisoning or attacking or harming the person that you want all of you received. So it's not wrong. It's just going to have a certain consequence. It's just going to have a certain outcome. And what Hannah has been learning is that discernment between, well, I want this. I feel like I should have it. And according to how I see myself doing this, that seems reasonable. But from then the space is saying, whoa, that is too much, or whatever it is. And so she was talking about more of this internal, and either of you can correct me or add or elaborate if you want, of having that discernment, because when you're in those heightened states and you come in with all this energy, you're not self-conscious. And then you get some feedback or reflection, right? You get some response from the space that may or may not be asking you to turn that off, shut it down, censor it, turn it off. There's probably a good chance that in Hannah's childhood, she wasn't too much, but the space couldn't handle it. And so the space had to turn her volume down because the space couldn't handle it, which is a different thing than a functional space having someone come in and create destruction and chaos and overnoise and that kind of thing. So you have to have that discernment between both sides. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if that fully answers your question, but that's sort of a meta perspective of the difference between the two. Would either of you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I'll share a little bit that maybe we'll even add some more clarity of like my memories that were coming up as I was feeling that was of like my after my family moved, I was like 12, 13. I started going to a new school, and I had been like musical theater tap dancing kid. And I go to this new school, and it was also this very pivotal age point where everyone was becoming a teenager and everyone was getting cool. And I was still like, just like coming in hot and just like wanted to play and have fun and be like big. And I remember like a lot of the kids at the new school felt very constrained and reserved. There wasn't a lot of dynamic. And I remember feeling like I was too much, too expressive, unless I was on stage. And so then I think I slowly started to cap that energy. But then I think another thing that was maybe going on alongside that was my mom starting to inflate things with excitement out of her depression and maybe trying to ease the move and the things that were going on. So there was a lot of like certain things being really exciting or just like inflating. And so then I think that maybe these two energies kind of wove themselves together for me so that they've become somewhat indiscernible. Um, does that make sense?
Yeah, and there's a sort of a mismatch. It's like you came in appropriate for the environment that you came from, but
Yeah.
from but in a certain way you were at a different developmental stage, right? You didn't quite hit that social caring weird shit that we do as teenagers, like, oh, there's a social hierarchy. Whoa, boys, girls,
Yeah, I
wait.
wasn't aware of that at all.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it was like a conservative school. They didn't do dances, they didn't do
Right.
theater.
So then you have the other side of them being shut down, right? They, as you said, they didn't have that dynamic range. And so it's kind of a both. It's not either or, it's both. That you were let's say underdeveloped for what you were going into, but also they were a lot more shut down than you were. And then you just accept both, right? Say, oh yeah, okay, right. I had some growing up to do, but then also you have to make sure that the growing up that you didn't do wasn't their dysfunction, right? Because you growing up, when I say that, I don't mean you matching their shut down, hindered, compressed dysfunction. And so it's so easy when we have no clue how to separate these. They all just get mixed wired, right? And through our work together, you have a lot of conflated wiring because these things can happen at the same time, right? It's like your first kiss happens and an alarm goes off and then you wet yourself. It's like and then there's just things get wired in those in very intense moments, and we have a lot of those until we're probably like 20. Just developmentally, so much is going on. So, part of your process, which is very much yours, is learning how to discern, to separate, to take to take what you feel as one emotion and separate them into the five appropriate ones that they are. To take to take one memory and sort out the five emotions from that one memory rather than this one instance or the five consequences of that or maybe the five causes, whatever. And so if you don't do that, what happens is exactly what happens to you is that when you get feedback about one thing, because that's all mashed to something else, that same kind of remark happened to you at the same time, it gets all bundled in together. And so it's just, yeah, been very challenging for you to be able to start, to separate those. But as you do it, as you go in and feel it and you give yourself that time and space, say, oh, okay, it starts, it's like, fascia work, right? You start, it's all glued together tight. And then as you start doing the body work, right, it starts to loosen up and gets flexible again. Bex, anything that you wanted to finish? Thanks for offering Hannah that space voluntarily.
I love what you share, Hannah. No, I thought you hit the nail on the head, basically by what you said. So yeah, I love the way you explained what was going on for Hannah. So I don't have anything to share. I just thought, what a great question. I mean, I love people who can think of great questions. I can never think of a question like that. Like how you actually, your mind works to ask such a good question. So I always admire that.
It's a good reference point because I'm not quite sure. I'm going to guess it's for me one of those things that I could feel through. And so, and you can share, Heather, if you want. I have I have a pretty good sense of people, so I kind of say it. But if you'd like to share, my sense is that as you feel it, like, okay, there's a little difference. I can feel the similarity, but there's a little difference. What's that distinction? Is that kind of what was going on for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well put.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a great question. And so these are very powerful. It's a great question. It's a little more advanced. We just have such a small group here. It's a great opportunity to get into some of these things. When the group gets bigger, we're probably not going to be going into as much of this stuff. So it's a great opportunity for us to have some intimacy here and connect with each other and dive into these things. And what you asked is more of an advanced question because it's developing the reference points of these subtle distinctions. So when I'm doing cinesomatics with somebody or I'm going into the energy with them and feeling them, I'm watching them shake their hands or do these archetypes. What I have to do is find the subtle distinction between, let's say, making money and accepting money, or giving and donating, or receiving or taking, right? What's the difference between receiving and taking? So these differences make a huge difference, and it's the difference between success and not success, right? It's the difference between wanting and having. Darun just shared with me. He's on his way back to Australia. He just flew out here with his family to do a 4-day private intensive with me. You guys, most of you saw that video that we made at the end of it. But I had a call with him, and he was sharing, and he said he would be sharing this with you guys, so I'm going to share it. I asked him to write this up in the group of the difference between having and wanting. So what happens when you embody the wanting energy? And this goes back to Mauricio, right? The power of the different words. When you embody, I want to be happy. I want to be happy. What does that imply? It implies you are not already, that you do not currently have it. It also implies a future. So you go through these things, and what are the implications of these words and these archetypes. The wanting archetype, it's in the future. You don't have it. And what happens is you get what you embody. So the more you embody wanting the breakthroughs, wanting the peace, wanting this to be the end, right? Wanting to be accepted, you're going to get more of the wanting. This took me fucking my whole fucking life to figure this out, because that desire, that passion was just so strong. The more I wanted, the more I got closer, but no cigar. The more I got, it's right there, but it's not. And The Secret, really, you guys maybe have heard of The Secret, law of attraction stuff. It has a thread of truth. What I've really discovered, which maybe someday we'll be talking about it, but it's a very kind of it's a not healthy genre. There's a whole law of attraction genre, manifesting. It's very not healthy. But one of the secrets that I've discovered is that these things are embodied. What you're going to manifest shows in your body. And as far as I know, there's almost nobody talking about this. And we can see what you're going to manifest by what manifests in your physical body. And so if you have the energy, if I say, all right, show me your relationship with the opposite sex, or who you love or who you like or whatever it is, right? And you're going like this, right? It's a please, I beg you. It's a desiring, right? It's a certain energy. Well, I can guarantee you, you don't have a partner, or you don't have a partner you want, or you don't have what you want from your partner, or they're keeping something from you, or you're frustrated, right? How you're showing up in your body is telling us what you have in your life, or what you've had in your life, or what you're going to have. And so when you start to make a different choice, right? Back to the first question, choice at the end of the book, making a choice, you can choose to show up in your body differently. Now, this is 1,000, maybe 10,000 times more powerful than word affirmations, right? The whole point of that exercise in the book isn't necessarily about the words. Words are very, very powerful, very important. They define our reality. And they're not the last word, right? The body's the last word. And so when you use the words and the embodiment piece, it's you can create what you've never had before. Hi, Katie. Good to see you. And so that's how I've, manifested everything in my life. Not everything, in recent years, right? It's how I made a book. It's how it became a best-selling, award-winning book. It's how I'm doing this right here, right now. I had to spend years embodying, facilitating, embodying having a successful business. For many years, I embodied wanting a successful business. And guess what I got for 10 years? A lot of pain and suffering. That may be a part of the process to go through. But the sooner and quicker and the easier you can let it be, the sooner and easier your life will be. And it's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. But by the time people get to me in this work, this is what I'm offering. This is what I'm helping people stand for. There's plenty of people that are standing for the hard, drudgerous, self-effacing, masochistic, just there's plenty of people that stand for doing everything hard and having a lot of suffering. So if you want things to be easy, if you want things to be successful, if you want to have love and joy and truth and freedom and generosity and grace and beauty, if you want those things in your life and you want to stand for them, that's what we're doing here. And the way that you can have those is by being those and embodying these things. And You can start that at any moment. Now, as you start that, you might have all these things start to come up. And that's the healing. That's what needs to be healed in order for you to get there. But if you never start that process, you'll probably never be aware of those things. So you have to rise. You have to move forward. You have to have movement. You have to make new choices. You have to do things you've never done if you want new feedback, new data, new information, new resources that you've never had. And on that journey, on that path, we'll bring all of the things up for you to work on. When I started buying nice clothes, when I started buying nice cars and watches, those were things I had zero experience with. I did not grow up with any of those things. And so as I started having those, I started having things come out. My ego started coming out. It's like, ooh, look, I got a new car. Ooh, I want to show people my new car. Oh, ooh, I got a Cartier watch. Oh, look, everybody. Right? I started having these things come up that never came up before because I never was at that level. So imagine like the water rising and there's things up here or flying, right? As you rise up, there's stuff hanging out here. You level up, and as you level up, you start to encounter stronger bosses, right? All of these kind of things. You get to venture into places. You got new armor, or you got a new vehicle, or you got a new thing in the game that allows you to go into a new place, right? Maybe you got a magic suit that lets you now go underwater, or a sub, or you get the raccoon thing on Mario, and you can fly through the sky, whatever it is. As you do that, you encounter new things. And those things are internal and external. External things, right? Obvious. Internal things, obvious. All of our stories, blocks, limitations. And so as eventually I got to a point in this process where I started to have fun with it because I reached a certain level, right? I had that breakthrough. And then after that, right, I'm fairly at peace. And then it's like, okay, now let's play. It's like, okay, oh shit. Now I have this ego. Now I have these things that show up that didn't show up before. And so everything becomes a new opportunity to heal and to grow and to show up in a new way. It requires choice. It requires courage. If you don't make new choices, if you move in the same way you've always moved, you're not going to encounter the dragons, the bosses, the treasure, the gold, just like Elaine was saying, right? You're forging these new paths in this forest of your own self, and there's treasures. But you'll never get to those treasures if you don't forge that path, if you don't make the new choice, and you don't look for them. So with that, we're going to conclude. Thank you guys so much. And yeah,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We got the class coming up. If you guys have never done any work with me, or you just want to pay, play, and pay to come, it's very cheap, $195 for the class, and we'll do some teaching on cinesmatics, and we'll do some moving. We have a full weekend workshop coming up online where we'll do cinesmatics. And then we have in December a slackline, and that's an in-person here in Nashville, Tennessee. So I know a few of you are coming. It'll be great to see you. If anyone wants to sign up, there's still some spots. So with that, we'll see you, I think, next week. Probably, yeah, next week, same time, same place. Ciao.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Or good morning.
Bye.